What is a Pacojet Junior, and how do you use it to make the best frozen treats?
Well, today on WTF, we're going to look at the Pacojet Junior and how to make a great sugar-free vanilla ice cream, pistachio gelato, strawberry rhubarb sorbet, and a dairy-free avocado gelato.
And stick around because we are going to tell you how to win a free Pacojet Junior in this episode.
Hello and welcome to WTF, where we transform food here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen. I'm Chef Scott Guerin.
And I'm Janie Wang, one of the owners of Modernist Pantry. Here on WTF, every week we talk about unique ingredients and techniques, and we show you recipes that you can do in your own kitchen. So remember, subscribe, ring the bell, and you'll get notified of our content when it comes out. And this week, we're going to be showing you how to use the Pacojet Junior to make the best frozen treats ever. And also, stay tuned because you can enter to win a free Pacojet Junior, which is a $4,000 item. So definitely stick around and find out how to do that. And Scott, a while ago we did an episode all about the Pacojet 2 and the Pacojet Junior. You can find that in the links in the description below. But for people who might not have caught that episode, what exactly is a Pacojet Junior and what makes it, such a special item?
There's a lot of things that make it a special item. Pacojet is probably the best on-demand ice cream churn ever made. And at its core, that's what it is, but it does so many other things.
Yeah, and I think for people, they'll be like, whoa, that's pretty expensive for an ice cream making machine. What else can you do with it? Obviously, today we're focusing on frozen, but I know there's so much more you can make with it.
So yeah, you can make soups, purees, infusions, all sorts of different things that you can make in here. If you need it to be blended, you can put it into the Pacojet, freeze the beaker, and then make whatever you need with this.
Yeah, and this is pretty much the 30-second overview. If you want to learn all about it, definitely I recommend watching the other Pacojet episode where we go into detail on the Pacojet 2, which is more of a chef version, and this one, the Pacojet Junior, which is more of a home cook or enthusiast version. And I know when we talk about frozen treats, one of the questions that we get a lot from people who are calling in, emailing in, is I want to make frozen treats that are dairy-free, sugar-free, egg-free, etc. But they often have difficulty getting that consistent texture, that creaminess. How does the Pacojet help with it, and how exactly do you achieve that?
So the Pacojet has this blade right here. And it goes onto this little piston, and then there's a gasket that also goes on there. So as it works, it spins this blade at a very high rate of speed, and it shears just a micro layer off the top of whatever's inside your beaker. So it shears it off, and it keeps going, and it blends it until it is smooth. Blends it until it is as smooth as it can make it. So if you're doing something like dairy-free, or you're doing something like sugar-free, dairy and sugar play big parts in making ice cream creamy and smooth and scoopable and all those wonderful things. So the Pacojet does its best job to make whatever you put in here that texture. Now you may need a little bit of help depending on what your recipe is. Like if you pull all the sugar out of a recipe, it's very difficult to get that ice cream-like texture. But we have tricks around that.
All right, and I know that we do a lot of work around ice creams. What exactly do you think will help that goes along well with the Pacojet in order to make just the creamiest, no icicles and not ice crystals or anything like that?
So there's a couple things. I think our perfects line, so perfect gelato, perfect ice cream, and perfect sorbet are the best because they're easy to use. You don't have to mix a bunch of different ingredients to get what you want. They're specifically made for what you're making. So actually today we're going to be making a sugar-free vanilla ice cream, and we are not heating it, so we're not adding any egg to it. So when we're doing that, we have to pick one of those stabilizers. And we actually chose sorbet, perfect sorbet, for this because we're not heating it at all. So this is a very quick recipe. I can mix it together in less than a minute, and then I can freeze it down and it's ready to be made into ice cream. Whereas most, ice creams are custard based. You have eggs, you have to heat the eggs gently. In heating those eggs, you're activating like the perfect ice cream. So with this, it's actually extremely simple. It's just a mix, freeze, and then make.
Okay, great. So when we're making that and you're using it in the Pacojet, do you have to do the whole beaker at once? Can you do like a couple? How exactly do you portion that out?
So I try to portion it no higher than this line, especially with ice cream. And there's some big reason behind that. If we're using something like a perfect ice cream and perfect sorbet, not only does it help with that creaminess, it helps with a thing called overrun. And overrun is adding air to the ice cream. So as it mixes, it will whip in extra air to get that really kind of creamy mouthfeel.
Okay.
As you mix in air, it increases volume. And if you increase the volume too much, this will start to shake just gently and then it'll shut off. Okay. So I only add it up to this line, which is about a quart, or it could actually be like 3/4 of a quart, and then it will, you know, with the air added, it'll be like a full quart. Okay. So that's, you never want to fill it up to the top with anything. Okay. That's just not a good idea. But yes, this line, use that as a rule of thumb. So let's kind of get into this demo. We can talk a little bit more about how these things work.
Great.
So simple. I have some milk. I'm actually going to do equal parts milk and equal parts cream, just heavy cream. Then I have vanilla bean. I've scraped the vanilla bean already. I took the skins of the vanilla bean and I put it into our vanilla extract. That recipe will be in the link in the description below. But I wanted to use real vanilla bean for this. I wanted to make it as vanilla as possible.
Yep.
In the best possible way, because sometimes vanilla is said to be bland, but it's not. It's a wonderful flavor.
It's very malign that way.
Yeah. So I'm just going to mix in those vanilla bean, make sure it's just mixed in gently.
Okay.
Then I have allulose here, and we like allulose because it's the closest to tasting like table sugar.
Okay.
It's a sugar alternative, but it tastes like table sugar. It doesn't give you that off sugar flavor that you would get with like a diet soda or anything like that. It tastes like table sugar. A little bit of salt. And our perfect sorbet.
Okay, so very little perfect sorbet for the entire batch.
Yeah, and it can vary depending on recipe. You can go down to like 0.2% of the total weight of the recipe. So it's a very, very small amount that we're going to mix in. I'm just going to just gently mix that in just slightly there. And then you'll see how simple this is. Allulose tends to clump just a little bit, but it's very easy to just whisk and all those clumps will be gone. And honestly, you're going to be putting into a Pacojet. Those clumps will be gone, trust me. Yeah,
so no, like, you know, putting it through the blender or anything like that?
No blender, no nothing. Even with the perfect sorbet, the instructions are to blend, but we're not talking about, you know, just a traditional blender when we say that.
Right.
The Pacojet's going to do that job for us. So it's actually very simple. It's in there. It's dispersed enough. Get these out of the way. And then I put it into my beaker. It fills it up just about to that line, like I said, right?
Okay, yep.
I can show it here. Can't tilt it too much or else it'll go past the line. But you just fill it up to that line, and then you can see here we have one that is frozen. And actually, we can blend this up, and when we blend it up, we'll be able to come back and taste a bunch of different flavors.
Yay.
Sound good? So let's get into just how we're going to actually blend it. So I put it into this container here.
Okay.
And then I take this gasket first. I always put the gasket on before I put on the, it should hold up, before I put on the blade.
Okay.
So the blade has these little almost interlocking tines on it. So when I put it up here, it will magnetize and pull it in. And then I just make sure it's all the way in there. There we go. It'll pull it right up, which is really nice. That way it's not like left in the bottom of your beaker after the mixing process, which would be awful. And if you wanted to freeze it, they come with these handy little tops. So you can put it on there, you can label them in here and know exactly. And also you can see the tops are, you know, about 1.5 inches in width, so you're not overfilling these.
Correct.
Right?
I feel like they've really thought of everything when they designed this machine.
I think they did. Yeah. All right, then you just put on the beaker. And if you do it properly, another green light will come on. And then you can choose how many servings you want. So you can go 1 through 10 for this. You can get 10 servings out of a beaker. If you were using like the Pacojet 2+, then you could probably get, you know, like down to a decimal per beaker, per servings. But with this, I mean, who's eating less than 1 serving of ice cream? So let's just pick a few, and then we're going to go. And when we finish turning this up, we're going to try a bunch of different types of Pacotized ice cream.
Cool. Sounds good.
All right, so we're back and we have a bunch of different flavors of ice cream, sorbet, and gelato.
Sweet. But before we get into the tasting, I want to just take a minute to talk about this week's giveaway because it's a really big one. And I was told this is the only Pacojet giveaway to ever exist. So very rare that you can enter to win one of these. And in order to win, there's going to be a link right here on the bottom, and you can go to that link and enter your name and email address to be entered for a chance to win. And it's really that easy. So unfortunately, this offer is only valid for US customers, but please enter. We would love to give away a Pacojet, so it'll be super exciting. And we'll put some other information down there as well. All right. Now, let's talk about what do we have. I see 4 beakers. What do we got?
All right, so we have our sugar-free vanilla, which we just made. We have our fan favorite, which is the pistachio gelato, which we borrowed a little bit of a base recipe from Modernist cuisine. We have a strawberry rhubarb sorbet, and then we have a avocado gelato, which is dairy-free. So we could try all these. You can try them. There's 4 spoons there for you. So whichever one you want to try first. Let's try the vanilla since that's what we just made.
Okay, and this is the sugar-free with allulose.
Yeah, sugar-free with allulose. So you can tell how smooth it is, right?
That's really good. It's very, very light. It's very, very airy. And it's just sweet enough, even though it's allulose, it's not table sugar. It's just sweet enough. So I think if you're someone that likes sugar-free ice creams, this is really good.
But does it have that artificial sweetener taste?
It does not have the artificial
sweetener taste. It absolutely does not. That's the crazy thing is you can taste it and it does not taste like that, which a lot of people just pick up on immediately.
Yeah, I can't stand the the aftertaste. Gross.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, then obviously this one's one of the best that's been made. It's the pistachio gelato. So all of you, I've tasted them all.
I know the pistachio gelato is everybody's favorite. But I'm going to taste it anyway.
And one thing we did with these is that we actually you can churn them and put them back in the freezer for a little bit, and you can scoop them to order if you just need a very small amount. So that's what we did with these 3. Obviously, this one was just churned. But you definitely get that same kind of creaminess. After about an hour, you're going to have to re-churn because they'll get too frozen. But you can hold them if you just need a very small, like cannelle for a dessert or something like that. So you're not having to use this constantly for restaurant purposes, or if at home you're doing a dinner party and you can make it ahead of time, and then when it's time for dessert, you pull it out of the freezer and you can make it and do that. So thoughts on this?
Well, it's my favorite. So I already knew that going in, but it's absolutely delicious. And one thing I'm noticing, going from the sugar-free to the pistachio, is that the sugar-free is very, very light, and the pistachio gelato is very dense.
Yes.
And I know you were talking about overrun earlier and how the Pacojet is introducing air during the churning or the whipping process. How do you use the Pacojet to control how much overrun goes into each mixture?
So this is great because we use Perfect Gelato, and Perfect Gelato contains locust bean gum.
Scoop. I like it.
And locust bean gum will give it a denser texture, and it will not allow for overrun, so you get that more gelato texture to your gelato. And especially in something like the Pacojet where it's moving so fast, you want to kind of control that, and the Perfect Gelato does a great job.
Okay.
And then this is the strawberry rhubarb sorbet, so it's a little tart. There is allulose in this, so this is actually a sugar-free sorbet as well. And we'll have new recipes for these 3, which is the sugar-free vanilla, the sugar-free sorbet, and then also the dairy-free avocado gelato.
Cool. Very refreshing. It's actually not that tart.
Yeah, I mean, it just has a few different tart things, but the allulose does a good job to kind of make it, palatable.
Yeah, because rhubarb is it's a hit and miss for me.
This is just fresh.
This is really nice.
This is fresh strawberries and fresh rhubarb. We don't have to cook anything, so you get a really big, bright, fresh flavor, a little bit of perfect sorbet, and then basically an invert sugar syrup that we make.
Yeah, so I think this is like a perfect summer end of the day little treat.
And by sugar syrup, I mean allulose syrup. But yes. And then finally the last one, which is the avocado gelato.
Okay, and this is
just
dairy-free.
Yep.
Okay.
So dairy-free gelato.
I know. Someone did make a comment the other day on the channel, and they were like, you should refer to sugar as sucrose. So I guess when we say sugar, we mean sucrose.
Sucrose, yes. That one's nice. It has a lot of fresh lime juice in it, so you get a big kind of punch of acidity. It is sweet as well, but you get that creaminess from the avocado. This is more for putting on top of, let's say, a tuna tartare or something like that, so you can add those flavors in with a cold element and make like a really nice kind of refreshing savory dish, but with like a nice cold element to it, sorbet.
That's what I was thinking, because I was like, it's like kind of savory, so I don't know if I want to eat it as a dessert, but then you said put it on something,
yeah,
and
I would
that
put
makes
it on
a lot more
something
sense.
like that. But yeah, absolutely.
It is delicious, though.
It is definitely for savory items, but you can take this kind of concept and make it more sweet. You can take out some of that lime juice so it's not so acidic, but you can absolutely tweak it to your liking.
Yeah, I like all of these. The pistachio is still my favorite, but it always will be. So, but they're certainly really good. What I really like about this is that you can use the Pacojet Junior in a lot of different ways. Today we're just showcasing frozen treats and how you can do, you know, all kinds of exclusions, dairy, eggs, sugar, and still come out with a really delicious product, either for yourself or for your restaurant or, you know, catering business. It's really great that way. And in a later episode sometime, you know, we'll kind of cover some of the other applications of the Pacojet as well and come up with a whole bunch more new recipes. So remember, enter to win the free Pacojet Junior. And until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie Wang.
And I'm Scott Guerin.